Hello everyone, my name is Naz and I welcome to you in my channel Naz Parshala. So today I'm going to take one more interesting story, and through this English story you will learn tenses, vocabulary, pronunciation and how to do perfect reading. So without wasting time, let's start. Chapter 9. The Letter. The winters were approaching, and the March family didn't like the November month. In particular, Mrs. March had been waiting for her husband's telegram and continuously asked everyone they knew if they had found any letter from their father, and had forgotten to tell her about it. But no letter had come. Then, 2 days later, there was a knock on the door of the Marsh house. Hannah went to the door and came back with the letter in her hands. Mrs. March, who had been eagerly waiting for Mr. March's letter, snatched the letter from Hannah's hand and opened it quickly. After she had finished reading it, she looked pale and shocked. The letter dropped from her hands and she sat on a chair crying silently. Jo and other sisters could sense that something was really wrong, but didn't know whether or not to ask their mother about it. Without thinking any further, Jo went up to her mother and picked up the letter and started reading it. Even she grew pale, as the letter was to inform them about the ill health of their father, and her mother was asked to come to Washington at once. She broke the bad news to her sisters, who felt as if their world had collapsed. Mrs. March was silent for some time, but she broke her silence, showing her strength, and announced that she would go to Washington as soon as possible. The girls could see that their mother was shaken up from inside, and even they were in grief, thinking of what would happen in the future. Hannah and the March sisters helped Marmee prepare for her journey, and Laurie helped them in delivering a letter to Aunt March, as the family had to borrow money from her for the journey to Washington. All the preparation were done when Laurie returned, and now it was the time to go was near. Mr. Brock came to help at the last minute, declaring that he would also accompany Mrs. March. Everyone thanked him for his assistance. But even when they were talking, Jo was missing. Laurie looked for her but couldn't find her. Minutes later, she came in through the door, putting a roll of dollar notes in her mother's hand. Everyone was shocked to see so much money with Jo and questioned her. To which she replied, "I did it for our poor father. I have sold something which I owned." Everybody was still confused and asked her again about the money. To show how she had got the money, she took off her bonnet to everybody's shocked. Her long, beautiful, smooth hair had gone. She had got her hair cut to aid Marmee with some money. Her mother was overwhelmed, seeing her caring gesture towards her family. It was shocking for her sisters to believe that Jo, who didn't care much about emotions, had done something so touching. Jo used to feel proud about her hair, and therefore Amy asked her, "Jo, you have cut your hair? Why? You loved it." "I did it for my family, for my dear father, who's more important for me. It's not a sacrifice, but my love for him. I went to Barber's house, who offered me money for my hair. I could see only one way, and I took it to earn some money," Jo answered. Marmee was happy but cried at the same time and hugged Jo. Then everybody talked about the journey that they had to undertake the next day. It was hard for everyone to get some sleep that night. To pass the night, Beth played her father's favorite tune on her piano. Even Meg was upset and tried to sleep but couldn't. Sometime later, she heard Joe sobbing. She went to Joe's bed and asked her why she was crying. Joe replied, with sobs and between, I miss my hair. It feels as if something is amiss. What should I do? My hair was my pride. Meg counseled her and asked her to rest. At dawn, everyone was called for some food before they left for Washington. The bags were packed and everyone sat in silence, thinking of the carriers that would be at their door any minute. Mrs. March directed her girls that they should continue with their work and be under Mr. Lawrence's protection and Hannah's care. She asked Meg to take care of her younger sister, advised Joe to watch her temper, told Beth to take refuge in music, and Amy to assist her sisters while she was gone. When time to leave had come, the daughters hugged their mother, and then Mrs. March left with tears in her eyes. After their mother had reached Washington, she used to daily send letters informing her daughters about how ill their father had been and how he was getting well gradually. Mr. Brock also sent a bulletin to the girls telling them how Mr. March became a healthy man. Again, after Mrs. March devoted herself to his service, the daughters were glad to hear the good news, flowing in every day, and wrote back many letters, sending their love and good wishes to their parents and Mr. Brock for his support to their family during their bad times. For watching. If you like my videos, please hit the bell icon for more updating videos. Like, share, comment and subscribe my channel Nas Parshala. Thank you, take care and be safe at home.